unmute yourself.
Well, first, let me say peace to the whole family, to the sa.neter TV Studios family. Peace to you, my brother sa.neter. Peace to Queen Naphtali. Let me start by saying that I thought the conversation that I had on your platform last Friday, was an interesting one. And it ended up veering into the direction of talking about the origin of Hathor. The original name of Hathor is Het-Heru. And so that was, after listening to that conversation and knowing we did not have time to fully address the issues, I decided that I wanted to try to address the issues a little bit further. And so I called you and I said, you said that we should have a conversation. Let's try to schedule one.
Jabari, didn't I put you on the phone with Naphtali?
No, yes.
Oh, yeah, and you said, yes, we're going to further it. There you go.
Yes, we were on the phone. Yes, we were.
So y'all knew what y'all was going to talk about.
We were on the phone. That's right. We were.
Yeah, that's why we sent you the thumbnail and the title and everything, and we thought that was what we was going to talk about. When I had talked to them, that's what I was under the impression. But
when we had
we sent the thumbnail to sa.neter hours ago, and then a week ago.
But when he sent the thumbnail to me, I automatically looked at it, showed Jabari, and said, "Yo, look, it changed."
And you should have called me. We could have talked about it hours before. I don't know. You changed it without me knowing, and then now people are calling me and telling me, "Hey, why?"
No, Naphtali, I never changed the title. What are you talking about? The title is, you said that Hathor was a Canaanite god. I'm quite sure everybody in here will say that was the title. And then I put you on the phone with Jabari, and he said he would further like to keep on going because we didn't have time, remember? And you said, yes, let's do it. So that's why we saying that the title changed.
I think we're supposed to elevate the conversation because we only talked for like a short period of time. We didn't really talk. So it was like, we really didn't, but okay. I was
So are you changing your position now that she is not a Canaanite god? And if so, that's all right.
No, I'm not changing my position.
So there it is. Let's get it.
That is your position, correct?
Yes. So go ahead and share your screen.
Okay. So that is your.
You don't want to go first, Naphtali?
No, Jabari says
first, right?
Jabari wanted to critique my information, so he needs to go ahead and showcase his information.
I want to be clear that I know we're going to go back and forth on this like we did last time. I have no problem whatsoever showing my information first.
Right.
No problem doing that. And let me say this: we're starting on a sort of an off note. The reason why I wanted to talk to you, Naphtali, is not because I wanted to debate you, not because I wanted to berate you. I recognize that I have been on sa.neter's channel now going on 6 years. And sometimes when I have conversations with folks from the Hebrew Israelite community, I feel like all of their references come from the Bible, right? Like that's the only book that they're referencing. While I disagree with your position, I thought it was refreshing that you were looking at sources. I don't agree with how you read the sources, but I thought that was good. That means that we could have a discussion. And so that is the reason why I suggested that. And that's what we said on the phone. I said, listen, I'm not here to insult you, to berate you, anything. I think that we can have a conversation. Honestly, let me say to you that as a professor of ancient African history, I've been teaching ancient African history for a long time. I now teach it on the college level. I thought that sometimes when you were not on the college level, at a college, I always taught on the college level. But now that when I heard you describing some of your sources, and you heard me say this, I thought that you were not reading the sources and understanding the sources. That is a common challenge if you have not read the sources for an extended period of time. I wanted to have a conversation with you about it, not a situation where we're going to end up cursing each other, yelling at each other. We shouldn't have to do that, right? I
completely agree. And if I can respond to what you're saying,
go ahead.
Say again. Do I sound okay?
I think so.
Okay, because I was hearing some feedback. Okay. I definitely agree. My position is definitely the Bible. I take that as my primary source. My foundation is definitely the Bible. But yes, I like to correlate history and bring it and connect it with the Bible. Bring the Bible to life is what I like to do, and look at history and as well as sources. But I do presentations as well. So, I'm a little bit more decorated. I get what you're saying, and I agree. I would love to have this conversation with you. I wanted to broaden it, bring out more sources to showcase how how the Canaanites actually influenced the the Kemetic. I got to learn to say Kemet. I'm so used to saying Egyptians, but I wish we could have postponed this a little bit. I needed a little more time because I could have brought forth a little bit more, and this would have made the conversation a little bit more in depth for the audience. But we're gonna do what we can.
We can always do a part 2. So
that's what I'm saying. We can do what we're gonna do today, and I look forward to seeing what you have, Jabari. So
Sure.
all right, so you got to bring forth your information, Naphtali, so he can make the argument.
No, he already did. So he got
some stuff. It's okay, sa.neter. I'll show some stuff.
All right.
He has a presentation.
She showed some slides. I'm prepared to do that. That's not a problem. And let me say that in this instance, sometimes when I'm on here, when I'm on sa.neter's channel, I'm in an interesting situation. People who are expecting me to describe and to advocate for Kemetic spirituality say, Jabari, how come you're not teaching this and this about the Kemetic spiritual system? And then people who are into history say, Jabari is just a priest. The reality is that I am a priest and a historian. But most times when I'm on this channel, I am in the role of historian. That's what I do primarily. So one of the things that that you're going to hear me do is I'm going to talk about sources. I'm going to talk about dates. And so that's really what I'm going to do. I'm not trying to support or protect any Kemetic text. All I'm trying to do is describe the historical record. That's it. That's it. I don't think there's a need for me to try to say, well, the Kemetic record is correct. I'm just saying this is the history. And so that's really where I'd like to go tonight.
I just want to expound a little bit before we can. I promise you can. I won't say another word after this.
Okay.
I just feel like sa.neter's trying to force me to do something that I don't have. I told you to give me a second because I've been busy. My daughter had a track meet. You know what I'm saying? Here's all she won all these medals. I told him that I was busy, but he wanted me to come on and look at what Jabari has to offer. So now that I'm doing that, he keeps saying to me, produce information. I'm supposed to sit back and look.
No, I'm saying, Naphtali, you had the information. Remember when you was going in? You was showing it. You had so much. I had to say, hold up. I got somebody else.
Okay, Jabari aware of it. So he
but let me say,
without any further ado, Jabari, let's go. So let's get it.
And let me say, listen, I really do get being busy. I mean, I'm extreme. My Monday through Wednesday is ridiculous. I can't even tell you. I am working on 3 hours sleep. Right? I had a major paper.
Yeah, I do know we live, right? Let's go, man.
Sure. I just wanna to show some compassion for my sister because I get being.
I appreciate that. I got 3 kids. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm trying, right? But
and I don't have kids. My busyness is a little different. Yeah. I can only imagine what that's like. So anyway, let's try. We'll try. I'll show some information. We'll talk about it. It doesn't have to be that lengthy. By the way, I have to prepare for my class at Hunter tomorrow.
Well, I'm giving you 7 minutes. And I'm going to give Naphtali 7 minutes as well.
Are you good with that, Naphtali, or?
Are you able to produce all your information in 7 minutes?
No.
We're going to go back and forth. I just don't want to be
able to produce his information. Go right ahead.
Back and forth. We'll go back and forth. Yeah.
All right, let's go, Jabari. 7 minutes start when you start.
So let me do this. I'm going to just show you some of, here's my slide. Here you go. Here, the discussion is about whether Het-Heru, I'm going to use the word Het-Heru, was originally a Canaanite deity. And I want you to understand why I'm using the word Het-Heru. Hathor is a Greek rendition of Het-Heru, right? Many of the names that you will hear for ancient Kemet, in fact, even Kemet itself, Egypt is an Egyptian variation on a Kemetic word. What I really want you to do is I want you to understand how the language is important. And so that is why you're seeing me use Het Heru with Hathor in parentheses. And in the first slide, you're seeing images of Het Heru on the left, Het Heru on the right. One of them is in her bovine form. You can see that she has cow ears on the right. And in the middle, we're seeing that deity that that Queen Naphtali referred to, Balat Gabal. Balat Gabal. So let's continue. First of all, let me say that what I want to do is I want to investigate the claims that I heard on Friday, because I think that if we look at what I heard and what we heard, what we'll be able to do is we'll be able to say, is that actually what follows the historical record? So there were some claims made. There are more than 3 claims, but let's start with these, okay? The first one is Het Heru or Hathor is originally a Canaanite deity. That's the first claim. The second one is Het Heru is the same as Balat Gebal. And the third one is Byblos is older than Kemet. I'm gonna just deal with those first, but there were other claims that I heard as well. And I know that Sister Naphtali is saying that she would like to expand the conversation. I'm willing to do that as well. So what I want to do, maybe I won't do it here. Maybe I won't do it here for the sake of time. But what I was going to do is play a bit of the video so you can hear the comment that has been made. I'm going to save the video. Let's save the video in case we need to just say, well, here is the claim, and this is why I framed the argument this way. Because trust me, I would not try to misrepresent what Naphtali said. That would not be, that would just be unfair. So based on what she said, I want to acknowledge what has been said. So here is, you saw that Naphtali used Britannica, and you'll see this is the page in Britannica that refers to Belat. First of all, the name is usually Balat Gebal. So I'm not sure why Britannica sought to just use part of the name, but I want you to notice that this is what she was showing on the screen. And right off the bat, I want you to see that it says that Balat Gebal, I'm going to read what it says. You can see it highlighted here. She was often represented with a typically Egyptian hairstyle. If you are represented with a typically Egyptian hairstyle, I'll say Kemetic hairstyle, that means that part of your imagery comes from someplace else, at the very least. It doesn't say that her hairstyle goes back from Canaan or wherever else, Byblos, to Kemet. It says that it goes in the other direction. It's an Egyptian hairstyle, headdress, and costume. And they even say by the 12th dynasty, somewhere around 1991 to 1786 BCE, she is equated with the Egyptian goddess Hathor. So I want you to recognize that they're saying that she is connected to Het Heru by the 12th dynasty. Right off the bat, without knowing much about Kemet, you should recognize that that means that Kemet has already had 12 dynasties before it. Some of you are saying, wait a minute, isn't 11 dynasties, Jabari? No, I want you to understand that historians put the rulers of that first dynasty in what they call dynasty 0. So there were 12 dynasties before the 12th dynasty. That's bizarre, but that's what historians do. I'm not saying I agree with it. I just want you to understand what we're talking about here. In addition to that, this is the image that Naphtali showed for Belat. You recognize it on her screen, correct? This is the image that showed. And in fact, when I looked at her slide, I thought it was interesting that when it went to Britannica, I did not see this statue. So I was honestly a little confused. But then I realized Naphtali added it to her slide. This is challenging because I want you to understand that this statue has a date. Sometimes you hear people say that what they do, what you've heard me say, that what people do is they smash hundreds, if not thousands of years together. If this is Balat, when is this statue from? Well, I want you to know that this statue, I don't know if Naphtali knows this. Of course, I know it because I saw it with my own eyes when I traveled to the British Museum. This statue is from the British Museum. From the British Museum. And it comes from what period? The Roman period. She added this image to her slide. It wasn't in Britannica. But I want you to understand this is from the Roman period. Right off the bat, you should say something sounds fishy. If we're all the way at the Roman period, that's after Kemet falls. But we're showing an image from a deity after 3,000 years of Kemetic spirituality. And
1 minute, 30 seconds.
How much?
1 minute, 30 seconds.
I wish you had told me a little early. That's okay. So I want you to understand that that is what we're doing. And look at the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire is from somewhere around 27 BC to 393 AD. That's how they've described it. But clearly this statue could be as early as about 200 BCE. We are smashing hundreds, no, not hundreds, thousands of years into one. In addition to that, you also see that Naphtali showed this when she described what she was looking at. And I don't think that she was reading it properly. This is an article, the lady of the titles, the Lady of Byblos in Search for Her True Name. And she had the second page on the screen. And I want you to just look at it. I'm not going to show you all of it. I don't have time to do it. But look at what it says. It's not even the full sentence. Particularly close in the 3rd or 2nd millennium, a permanent Egyptian presence is attested in Byblos from the middle of the 3rd millennium. So I want you to understand that what this article is saying is that the Kemetic people had a presence in Byblos. Not that the people of Byblos are the ones that have present in Kemet. What are they trying to tell you? Byblos is under the auspices of Kemet. When we come back, I'll continue to show you more about Byblos. We talked a bit about Bilat Gabal. We'll talk about Byblos when I come back.
All right, thank you. Now, after Naphtali go, we can make it 10 minutes in case y'all want more time. It's up to Naphtali. So Naphtali is on you. Shout out to my brother, one of the scholars in the building, Commission Adept. Shout out to my man, Commission. All right, Naphtali, it's on you, sister. And time will start when you're ready.
Sorry, I was muted. Let me get ready to share my screen. All right. There we go. Okay. Oh. All right. Can you see my screen? Okay, there we go. It's sharing. All right. So the first thing Jabari speaks on.
You ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Time starts. 7 minutes.
All right. So the first thing that Jabari speaks on is the fact that I used the Roman image of her. Irregardless.
You're not sharing your screen now.
Huh?
You're not sharing your screen.
Oh, I thought it was sharing.
No, it went back off.
Okay, I don't know what happened. Let me see what happened. Let me do it again. Sorry, guys, technology. All right, I'm sharing.
Right, there you go. Now you're sharing.
Thank you, sa.neter. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I was trying to hide this. I guess I accidentally put stop. Okay. All right. So Jabari made an interesting point. He said that I utilized a Roman image of Balat. I don't know what the big deal is about that. That's Balat. That's who she is from the Romans. But you know, neither here or there. So it says right here that she's typically, often typically represented with an Egyptian hairstyle and headdress and costume. Well, we see her right here. She's not dressed as an Egyptian, but the word typical means that it can change often. Doesn't necessarily mean that that's how she's depicted all the time. So we need to make sure we add that. He also said that it says here from the 12th dynasty. So I want to correct that. And then also he put up my source. So here it is right here. It says the lady of titles, the lady of Byblos, and the search for her true name. So they say here, particularly close to the 3rd and 2nd millennia, is we do have Egyptians influence within Byblos, which is true. Let's give some history on that. So are you all able to read this good? Because it's kind of far. Let me pull this in. Let me go here. There we go. All right, this is bigger. So I'm using the Britannica today. And it says Byblos, modern Jebel, also spelled Jabal, biblical Gebel, ancient seaport, the site of which is located on the coast of the Mediterranean Sea. So it gives a little history on Byblos, but when you go down, it says modern archaeological excavations have revealed that Byblos was occupied at least by the Neolithic period, 8,000 to 4,000 BC. So it says during the 4th millennium BC, an extensive settlement developed there because Byblos was the chief harbor for the export of cedar and other valuable wood to Egypt. So it's letting you know that they were very valuable to the Egyptians because they were the chief harbor of this wood that Egypt needed to build their boats, build all types of things with, correct? So it says here, so that's what the relationship was. So we know that no one's saying that the Egyptians weren't there. Of course they were there. They were trading. So it says here, the Egyptian monuments and inscriptions found on the site attest to close relations with the Nile River Valley throughout the second half of the 2nd millennium. It says during Egypt's 12th dynasty, Byblos again became an Egyptian dependency. So it says here that the Egyptians depended on Byblos. And it says here, and the chief goddess of the city, Balat, the mistress with her well-known temple at Byblos. So she already had a temple, and they're letting you know right there that she was worshipped in Egypt. And after the collapse of the Egyptian New Kingdom in the 11th century, Byblos became the foremost city of Phoenicia. So they're letting you know that Byblos, that the Egyptians worship Balat. It doesn't say Hathor there. It says that they actually worship Balat. And they're letting you know that with their relationship with the Egyptians, that's where that is. Now, I also have this right here. So this is Sir Alan Gardiner. He is a British Egyptologist. Now, what he did was that it says here, scholars still argue over what the inscription actually says. So we have the Proto-Semitic inscription found at Serabit el-Kadim. And it says here that Sir Alan Gardiner thinks it mentions the Canaanite goddess Balat. So it says the British Egyptologist and linguist, for one, translated the word Balat to mean to Balat. If he is right, it would confirm the presence of Semitic people, probably continuing their work as miners as they have done in the Chalcolithic period through early Bronze Age. It says into the middle Bronze Age, corresponding with the early part of Egyptian's 12th dynasty. This inscription leads many scholars to argue that Hathor was not originally an Egyptian deity, but a Semitic goddess who was Egyptianized, Hathor as Balat. Now, I also want to showcase here that around 3000 BC, Byblos port was the most important timber shipping center in the Eastern Mediterranean. It was used by the Phoenicians to ship their local wine, cedars, Lebanon,
3 minutes,
and other wood to pharaohs of ancient Egypt to be used in tomb construction and ship building. So this right here lets you know the importance of how Byblos port was. And it also tells you here that Byblos was to the ancient Egypt was called Kubna and was a prime Lebanese trading port of cedar wood, agricultural products. And so that's letting you know that their connection. Now he mentioned, let me see. So I kind of got things because I got things in my order, but he said some things, so I want to get it
You could pause if you want. Pause and get it straight. You want to pause the
You
time?
got 2 minutes and 4 seconds. I pause the time.
Thank you, because I wanted to, because the title kind of got changed too. All right, you can start the time. You ready? Sa.neter?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. So here we got the pantheon of the Canaanite religion. So the Byblos were Canaanites, they were Phoenician Canaanites. And it lets you know here that Balat was the chief deity of Byblos and was identified with Astarte and Aphrodite. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because she was the chief goddess of Byblos. Why would why would these Byblos, the Phoenicians, have to wait until the 12th dynasty to make her their chief deity, right? That makes absolutely no sense when she is the chief. She's been around for a very long time. Right here it says that her temple was built at 3000 BC, which makes her temple at about 5000 BC. So that puts her way older than what Jabari is trying to say, that she had to wait for Egyptian influence when they were already worshiping her. And they've been around since 8,000 years. So why would they have to wait so long to worship Hathor, or worship Hathor? That makes absolutely no sense. So we have to think about it like that. They say the most important temple in Byblos is the temple of Balat Gebel, of the Lady of Byblos. The goddess Balat Gebel was one of the sun discs, with the sun disc on the head, was represented on the cylindrical seals found in Byblos and in Egypt. Fragments of alabaster jars with hieroglyphic inscriptions from pharaohs of Egypt were found in the excavations of the temple. So it says also objects related to this period were found in the temple and its vicinity, buried in sealed jars sometimes. So it's letting you know right there that Balat Gebel's temple was actually was the most important temple of all, and it was developed in 3000 BC. So we all have to know that with this understanding, we have to understand that, hey, if her temple was built, if her temple dates back to 3000 BC, which is 5,000 years, and she is the most important deity, then it only makes sense that that she's been around for a very, very long time. She didn't have to wait till the 12th dynasty with the Egyptians to start worshiping her and build a temple that's dated back to 5,000.
All right, thank you. Time. Let me make an announcement real quick. If you over there on the French Negro channel, while he's lying and doing all kind of crazy stuff, don't bring your butt over here in my chat room, because I see you and my people see you, so they let me know what's going on. So brother Jabari, because you will be blocked over here, just go back over there with the slander. You don't want knowledge, you don't want information. You see over here we deal with the knowledge and information, so go back over there and play with information to the false news. Anyway, Jabari, we're going to amp up the time, Naphtali. If it's all right with you, I would say 10 minutes. Is that all right with you, Naphtali?
You said 10 minutes?
Yes.
Go ahead.
All right, 10 minutes in this round, brother Jabari. You got the floor, brother. Time will start when you start.
Okay, let me start by responding to some of what I heard Naphtali say.
You ready?
Yeah, let me just, I'm going to start responding, then I'll show a few slides. Let me say that I really wish that I could get Naphtali into my class, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I think that this is an intelligent sister, but I think that she needs to do if she did a history class, she'd be even more powerful. She would become more conversant with some of the things that she's talking about. You'll routinely hear her say, for example, that the temple for Balat was built at 3000 BCE, which puts her at 5000 BCE. What she's trying to say is, if the temple was built in 3000 BCE, then it's 5,000 years old. That's what she's trying to say. And I think that is something that becomes confusing, perhaps for her and for the audience. She's also mentioned Gardiner. His name is just Gardner. Sir Alan Gardner. I wish that I could get you into a class. You would be a prize student. And I mean that truly, I do. Many of the students in my class aren't reading like you are. But I want you to have a context for what you're reading. She also said Egypt becomes a Biblos dependency. So that means that they were dependent on, that Egypt was dependent on Biblos. That's not what that means. What they're saying is that Biblos was under the control. Let me just share this the screen for a second. This is what she's reading from. She's reading, let me make it larger. And I'm going to show it on my screen as well, on my slides as well. But this is what she's reading from, Britannica, right? And it says here, it talks about them being a port for cedar and all these other things. And it says here, Byblos again became an Egyptian dependency. And the chief goddess of the city, Belat, with a well-known temple, was worshipped in Egypt. What she's trying to, what it is saying is, Byblos was under the control of Kemet. That is what they're trying to say. Here, let me give you an article from the Respect Journal from Edinburgh University, right? Byblos and its relationship to Egypt. I want you to understand that what we're talking about, I'm trying to do this quickly so I don't run out of time. What we're talking about, look at this. Here they're saying this is the New Kingdom. So this is actually later than what she was just referring to. But even here, listen to what it says. While Egyptian territorial influence increased over the New Kingdom, Byblos remained independent and traded with Egypt in an unequal partnership. There is never a time that the people of Byblos are in control of Kemet. It goes the other way around. It goes the other way around. And I want you to understand that if you even look at some of the descriptions, there's a piece in the Armana letters, maybe I'll read it later, from the Prince Albi Milku. He actually says to the king of Kemet, I am the sand beneath your sandals. When you breathe, I breathe. We're talking about influence in the other direction. And I think that when she's reading some of what she's reading, she's not necessarily understanding that that is what is being said. There's nothing wrong with that. It just means that you have to read a little bit more so you get the proper context. That's all. I really hope that you do that so that you can have an even stronger argument. Look at this here. I was talking about whether she mentioned that Byblos is older than Kemet. And she said last time and this time that Byblos, we see people occupying Byblos at around 8,000 BCE. That is very early. That is very early. So I want you to understand that when you look at this period, Byblos is an ancient city. That's true. It's one of the oldest cities in the world. And I think that if you read this, what could happen when you compare it, for example, to what they've placed about Egypt, you could get confused. So they start talking about people occupying it in 8,000 BCE. But then when you go to Kemet, it doesn't talk to you about when people occupy Kemet. It simply then says, well, we're going to talk to you about the 3,000 years that they had these powerful native dynasties. So you can get the impression that Kemet was not inhabited before it became the world's largest and most powerful nation. That is what you could get confused if you don't know that. And I think that a lot of folks, due to the fact that often what we're doing, and you've heard me say this about Sumer, we describe Proto-Byblos with dynastic Kemet. That's what people do. Same thing they do with Sumer. They describe Proto-Sumer when people were there doing very little, subsisting. And then they compare that date to when Kemet actually is a powerful nation building the world's first superstructures, one of the first literate nations in the world. You have to compare apples to apples. Take a look at this article, Cultural Convergence in the Neolithic Nile Valley. This is a scholarly article, right? And it connects Kemet to the rest of Africa. Really good article. You all should read it. Take a look. I'm going to just show you what it says on the second page and the third page. The aim of the present article is to define an important historian of cultural change belonging to the 5th millennium, blah, 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 blah. By the way, I want you to say, I'm trying to do this quickly. They connect it to Nubia and Central Sudan.
4 minutes, 4 minutes.
Thank you. The culture of Kemet comes from the south, not from outside. That's what they're telling you. And they also let you know that a major part of their culture comes from what they call cattle culture. Cattle culture. This is important. One of the ways that Hathor is depicted is actually as a cow. That's because Hathor likely comes from the south. She might even be older than Kemet, from Nubia, not from someplace else. Look at what they say here. It says, our point about departure in the comparative observation is that there is nothing distinctly African about the adoption of mobile cattle pastoralization as a response to climate change, or about privileging cattle as ritual and symbolic media. Similar patterns of response have now been documented in a much broader zone of the Middle Holocene Old World. I wish I could have time to explain that. I don't. When you look over here, you'll also see, now this is when they start talking to you about some of the people in the area. Look at this. A Mesolithic lifestyle centered upon fishing, hunting, and foraging had held sway across much of the Sahara since the beginning of the Holocene. What time did they give you? 10,000 BCE. So saying that Byblos, we see people in Byblos at 8,000 BCE doesn't say anything. Kemet is older. You just can't compare Kemet as an empire. By the way, if I had shown you this picture, you would know that this whole conversation is a wrap. Who in the chat knows what this is? Does anyone know what this is?
2 minutes.
This is this amazing site in southern Kemet. You could even call it Nubia. It's that far south. That is known as Naphtali. It not only shows you that people are actually living in the region, but it shows you that they have a high culture. They are charting the stars. That's what you're seeing here. They're not just fishing. They're not just doing subsistence. They are. This is a stone calendar that is thousands of years older than the one at Stonehenge, and you don't hear anything about it. Oh, I wish this was in the front. Oh boy, this slide didn't come up properly. Let me do this really quickly because I want you to get a sense. I don't want you to think that I'm giving you something that that is not contained within the existing scholarship. Take a look at this really quickly. Here we go. This is a description of the Naphtali stone circle. I just erased the picture. And they're saying that it began in the early Holocene around 9,000 BCE. This is important. Kemet is older and it has a high-tech civilization earlier. One more thing I should show you with regard to Belat. Remember, we're talking, the question is whether Belat is originally a Canaanite deity. But as I said to you last week, you see that Hathor, who Naphtali is calling Hathor, is at the top of the Palette of Narmer. This is when Kemet becomes an empire, becomes a powerful nation. This is the world's first historical document. This is 31 or 3200 BCE. We see her here. And this is, I just want to show you this. You could look at this later. This is just to give you a date. Finally, let me show you this very quickly. I want you to also recognize she's mentioning a temple to Belat.
Time. But I'll let you go ahead. Close out with that.
Here's the picture of the temple to Belat. Notice all the tekken or the obelisk. The influence goes the other way. Kemet is influencing Byblos.
Powerful. Naphtali, let's go. Naphtali. I hope you was watching, Naphtali.
I'm here, and yes, I was watching. Yes, I was. Let's go ahead and share my screen. And I just want to say this: I don't have a problem with understanding. I think Jabari needs to subscribe to my channel. I'm pretty good. I'm very studied on history, and you know, no worries over here. You know, if I said his name was Gardner, excuse me, I misspoke. Gardner, but guess what? He was a British Egyptologist who interpreted that inscription, and it came back to Balat. It did not. That's whose name it was. Okay, so that is actually correct. But let me go ahead and share my screen and oops, I pushed the wrong button. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So let's talk about some things right quick that Jabari brought out. All right. Okay, let me go back to my, yep. All right, so I'm utilizing the World History Encyclopedia, and this is talking about Byblos. So it says that,
Naphtali.
huh?
Time starting.
Thank you so much, sa.neter. It says the city began as a small fishing village called Gubu or Gibel, right? It says while the coastal region of the land, which the Greeks named Phoenicia, was known to inhabitants as Canaan by 3000 BCE, the little village had grown to a prosperous city through trade. The cedars of Lebanon were highly prized by other countries for use in construction, and Byblos became the single most important shipping port for timber to Egypt. So when I say their dependency, they are the single most important shipping port for their timber to Egypt and elsewhere. It says Byblos was the first city to perfect shipbuilding. Okay, and it's largely due to the craftsmanship of the shipwrights of Byblos that Phoenicians acquired their fame as sailors and princes of the sea, as they were referred to in the book of Ezekiel. It was primarily through trade with Egypt that Byblos grew so incredibly wealthy. Jabari wants you to think that they were enslaving them and putting them under pressure, but they actually were giving them money. They were actually making them wealthy. It says the Egyptians flooded Byblos with material wealth, but also with aspects of their culture and Egyptian religion. Now, I know Jabari's going to say, well, right there, it's telling you that the Egyptians flooded them with their religion, and that is true. However, it says that Byblos is cited as the city where Isis located the body of her dead husband. So right there is letting you know that the Egyptians also provided their religion. But let me show you this right here. It says the role of the temple of Balat Gibel as an intermediary between Egypt and Byblos during the Old Kingdom. So right here, this article is letting you know that the temple of Balat actually was a intermediary between Egypt and Byblos during the Old Kingdom. But I know what you guys are thinking, because you guys are very smart. You guys are like, well, Neff, that's still telling us that the Egyptians were worshipped. But hold on, let me showcase you something right here. Right here, we see an Egyptian stele showing worshipers of Canaanite deities. What are you talking about? Yes, that person right there in that middle is another Canaanite deity. It says the wonderful state of preservation of the stele allows us to appreciate the bold colors, which is painted. It is a private Egyptian stele showing veneration of a divine. I'm so sorry, my dog just started barking. Excuse me.
Big dog.
I got a pig.
You heard that voice?
Yes, he didn't saw a cat.
Hey, Naphtali, I paused your time. You at 7:14. You can take care of the dog if you want.
Okay, did you pause? Hold on.
I paused your time. You're at 7:14.
Thank you. Come on. You can get the dog. That's okay. Thank you. All right. So it says the wonderful. Can you go ahead and start my time, sa.neter? Did you hear me, sa.neter?
Yes, I got you. I'm waiting till you start.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
You got 7:14.
He is acting up too. All right, go ahead and start. He's gone now.
Go ahead.
Okay. So it says the wonderful state of preservation of this stele allows us to appreciate the bold colors which was painted. It is a private Egyptian stele showing veneration of the divine triad. Surprising to Out of the three are Canaanite and not Egyptian gods. The stele is divided into two sections. In the lower section, the scribe Ramos and his wife are seen kneeling in a gesture of veneration towards the three deities depicted in the upper section. The central deity is a Canaanite goddess, Kadeshet, standing naked on the back of a lion. Her figure carries a connotation of eroticism and fertility. On the right is the Canaanite warrior god Reshef, who is associated also with healing and fertility. On the left is the Egyptian god Min-Amun Ra. So it says, whose role as god of fertility and male potency is clearly reflected in his iconography. Now it says the inscriptions on the side identify all five figures. Egyptians worship of Canaanite gods. So right here we see actual Egyptians worshiping Canaanite gods. So what does this mean? They both were influential to each other. Okay, so the fact that they were worshiping, you know, the fact that, and I have another something else. I hope I got time. So right here it says, J.W. Curator Aaron Ari, welcome to Ancient History Encyclopedia. So they're telling you, thank you. This is where this comes from. And it was actually a exhibit. It was called Pharaoh and Canaan, the Untold Story. So right here, it says 3,500 years ago, mutual cultural influence and political fluctuations marked the relationships between ancient Egypt and Canaan. Around 1700 BCE, the Hyksos, now we got to talk about the Hyksos. The Hyksos actually came into Egypt and ruled. So that was actually Canaanites that came in and ruled. And it says a foreign dynasty of Canaanite origin conquered northwest Egypt. So you see, the Canaanites actually came back and they conquered the Egyptians. It says, following their expulsion, some 100 years later, Egypt entered a period marked by military conquest and cultural finesse. Now, it says, I have read that the Canaanites absorbed, now listen to this, the Canaanites absorbed technological and artistic innovations for Egypt. And the Egyptians, in turn, adopted some Canaanite deities and technologies. So it tells you right here, the areas where Canaanite culture had the most influence over Egypt was its religious matter, and Egyptian cults. In this period, a group of Canaanite deities was accepted into the Egyptian pantheon. Temples of these gods and goddesses are known from Egypt, and they now appear on Egyptian monuments as worshipped entities, both by private persons or Pharaoh himself. Additionally, in other aspects of life, one can identify that the Canaanite effect. For example, after thousands of years of Egyptian pottery production with handleless jars, in this period, Egyptians, they were called amphorae, are produced with handles as an imitation of Canaanite jars. So what they're trying to showcase is that the Egyptians were actually producing jars that, I'm trying to see, is it amphorae jars that they got from the Canaanites. It also says that so well as around the Eastern Mediterranean, in other cases, the first use of scimitars, which are those curved swords. So those were originally Canaanites. So what they're showcasing is, it says by the Egyptians, not only were scimitars used during the period in Egypt, but they became an Egyptian symbol of power. So this Canaanite sword actually was raised to the point where they used it as a symbol as power. So right there is letting you know that these Canaanites actually had a very great influence on the Egyptians, as well as the Egyptians have an influence on the Canaanites. But the thing is that what the most important thing that we need to take back from this conversation is the fact that the Egyptians did pull from the Canaanite pantheon. So how much time do I got, Si?
You have 2 minutes and 45 seconds.
Okay, cool. All right. So with that, let me see. Okay. So let me keep going. Let's see here. Well, anyway, I had something else I wanted to share. Where is it? This is okay. So this is what I wanted to go back to this because this is something that Jabari brought out, and he's talked about, like I said, he talked about the time periods. and whatnot. Now, what needed to be brought out is the fact that in the Phoenician inscription from Byblos, it lets you know that the most prominent deity is Balat Gubal. She's the most prominent deity. She is the Lady of Byblos, and she has been identified with Astarte, Anat, Ashera, Aphrodite, Isis, and Hathor. But it tells you that she's the most prominent out of all of them, according to this source. It says the urge to find her true name is based on the assumption that Lady of Byblos cannot be a proper name. But they're saying it that this is an epithet, right? Like a title. Now it says the paper uses categories of linguistic onomastics to discriminate that the Lady of Byblos can be a proper name. So what is this? What am I bringing this out for? So it says here, a permanent Egyptian presence is attested in Byblos from the middle of the 3rd millennium. In Egyptian sources, Lady of Byblos is well known as an epithet of Hathor for the first time in the coffin text. So they actually showcase that the name that Hathor was actually referred to as the Lady of Byblos. Okay, let me make sure I got that right. Yeah, Lady of Byblos is well known as the epithet of Hathor in the coffin text. So right here is letting you know that not only that Byblos called Balat Lady of, let me slow down. Not only did Byblos call their goddess Lady of Byblos Balat, but they also are calling Hathor the same thing. And remember, she is the most prominent of the deities, because it says right here, the most prominent deity, and she is also the most important deity in Byblos. So if that was the case, why wouldn't they call her Hathor or her other Egyptian name, which I'm not, what is it? I'm not familiar with her Egyptian name. Forgive me, I'll get it. All right, thank you. But that would be it.
Right. Time. Brother Jabari, we going into another round. This will be another round here. 10 minutes will start when you start, brother.
Okay. I want to show you a few things first.
Family, y'all get ready out there to have your questions. And one more thing, show love for Naphtali. She's not afraid to come in. I don't want to see no disparaging remarks on the sister. Go ahead, Jabari.
Right. I want you to take a look at this image. Sa.neter, oh, good, you showed it.
Are you ready, Jabari? You ready?
Yes, please go.
Time start.
Does anyone know what this is? I want you to understand that this is a Shinto temple. Shinto is one of the spiritual forms of Japan. And this temple is in the United States. So therefore, the Japanese have greatly influenced the United States. Therefore, the Japanese are in control of the United States. These are the slippery assertions that I hear our sister making. This Kemet was a very powerful cosmopolitan nation. Finding a one stele of a deity doesn't explain anything. All it means is that somebody was looking at a deity from Byblos and said, this deity fits into our system well. It doesn't mean that they are in control, but this is the kind of slippery logic that I keep hearing our sister make. It's really slippery. Please, simply because there is one stele, that does not mean that they, as she has asserted, greatly influenced Kemet. In fact, let me show you this. She keeps mentioning Phoenicia. This is usually where people say Phoenicia exists, at least one of the places they say it exists, right? And here are some of the cities. You see Byblos, you see modern Beirut, you see Sidon, you see Tyre. And you can see its proximity to Kemet. So I want you to listen. These, by the way, these are all considered Semitic people. I want you, I told you I would do this. I want you to hear how the prince of Tyre mentions the king of Kemet, who was Akhenaten at the time. By the way, Akhenaten is not even an extremely powerful king of Kemet, but he writes him this letter. This is at the Metropolitan Museum. It is called the Amarna letter, royal letter from Abi-Milku of Tyre to the king of Egypt. Let's see who has more influence. Listen to how he speaks to Akhenaten. He says, "To the king, my lord, my God, my son, message of Abi-Milku, your service. I fall at the feet of my king, my lord, 7 times and 7 times. I am the dirt under the sandals of the king, my lord. My lord is the sun who comes forth over all the lands by day, according to the way of being the sun, his gracious father, who gives life by his sweet breath and returns with his north wind, who established the entire land in peace by the power of his arms. Hapisi, who gives forth this cry in the sky like Baal, and in the land is frightened at his cry." That is just part of the letter. He says that he is the sand beneath the sandals of the Kemetic king. You have to understand what is being said. This is not a situation where simply because you can find a stele, this means that the people of Byblos they greatly influenced Kemet. What does that mean? What does that mean? Once again, simply because there is a Shinto temple in the United States, does that mean that the Japanese have greatly influenced the United States? Does it mean that the Japanese are in control of the United States? This is the way that this is what she is saying. It's problematic. By the way, even what she's reading says that Byblos was often under the control of Kemet. She says, well, all of the cedar comes from Byblos. What does that mean? The United States doesn't have any diamonds. There are more diamonds in the Congo. Are you saying that the African nation of the Congo is more powerful than the United States? What are you saying? Do you know how many things the United States gets from Mexico? Does that mean that Mexico is more powerful than the United States? These arguments are really, really poor. And I wish that I mean this with no disrespect, if she could just get the proper context, she would be able to make stronger arguments. By the way, she keeps saying stele. It's a stele. It's a stele. That's what she's referring to. Why am I talking about her pronunciation? Am I just trying to be a high school teacher? No, because what I'm trying to say is, if you had done a lot of reading, if you were familiar with this area, you would know how a word is pronounced. But when you mispronounce so many words of scholars, you don't know the name of Het-Heru, all of these things mean that you are unfamiliar. Byblos does not control Kemet. By no stretch of the imagination would you make that argument. By extension, how about we look at this? By the way, one of the things that she still hasn't done, notice that she shifted the goalposts entirely. This conversation and the thing that she said that
4 minutes
conversation, 4 minutes you said?
Yeah.
Good. And the thing that she said that prompted this conversation is that Het-Heru is a Canaanite deity. Now she's trying to say you can see some Canaanite stuff in Kemet. That's what the argument is now. She's already relinquished her position. Did you hear it? I heard it. If you didn't hear it, no, let's do it another way. If you did hear that, put a 1 in the chat. I want you to acknowledge that you heard it, because she's no longer making her argument anymore. Is she simply going to look for things in Kemet that seem to have come from Canaan? Is that what she's doing? Does that mean that Canaan is more influential in Kemet than a place where you have a prince of a subsidiary city saying, you are the sand underneath my feet? In order for her to substantiate her argument, she needs to give me an image of her deity. I need to see her, Jabal, in Kemet. And I need to see that that is how she comes, and that she's in Kemet long before we see her in Kemet. You're seeing her at the top of the palette of Namer. This is at 3100 or 3200 BCE. Don't take my word for it. I'm giving you sources. This comes from the American Historical Society, and they're telling you where it's from. Can you see? If she is at the top of the palette of Namer, show me Bilal Gabal in Kemet earlier than this. Show me Het-Heru in Byblos earlier than this. You cannot. That's what we're arguing. Don't just show me a slab of stone in Kemet that seems to have some influence from Byblos. What does that mean? It means nothing. It doesn't help your argument. You need to build it stronger than that for it to make sense. Once again, scholarly article, right? This is from Sage Journal.
1 minute and 30 seconds.
Good. This is from Sage Journal. And I want you to see here on page 1, this is modern designs on pre-dynastic slate palettes, right? 1955. This is not a new article. Listen what it says here. One of the figures in relief on the rim must have been a head of Hathor. They're using that name. As a cow, similar to the heads in the pairs at the top of the palette of Namer, but with the stars at the tip of each horn. I can show you that palette as well. They're telling you the palette of Namer has Het-Heru. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. There's no other way around it. Show me it earlier elsewhere. That's all I need to see. And if you do that, I will relent. But because you cannot, you must relent. That's just how this game is played. By the way, this is even earlier. Here goes the Nakata 2 stele. This is earlier than the Palette of Namer, also in Kemet. It is believed to be Het-Heru. This is before Kemet becomes a powerful nation. I could do this all day. Het-Heru is Kemetic. Het-Heru, if she's not Kemetic, then she's Nubian, she's Cushitic.
All right. Naphtali, you got your round coming up. And a message to my brother, Civil War folk, Civil War. They just hate Naphtali. That's why they always jumping her about 3 at a time. No, my brother, beloved, we can never hate Naphtali. We love Naphtali. We don't hate her. We love Naphtali. She got love over here. Just because we don't agree with the information, brother, don't mean we hate her. I don't agree with the Hebrews. I don't hate you. I don't hate Quadna. I love brother Quadna. There was a time we was banging on each other, but I learned to love and respect that brother. He's a good dude to me. Me and JJ go at it all the time. I don't hate JJ. I hate the knowledge. So I just want y'all to know that. There's no hate over here. That's otherwise you wouldn't be here. People wouldn't be here. Cesaria, I mean, promotion, whatever y'all got, y'all could come here. So with me clearing that up, Naphtali, it's on you. You got 10 minutes whenever you're ready.
Just a second, sa.neter. Let me pull my screen up. All right, guys, let's get back to business. I do apologize for the delay. All righty, let's share my screen. Okay, So before I start talking, I want to just talk about what Jabari brought out. So he says that I was speaking that Biblos greatly influenced Kemet. That's if that's what you're hearing or that's what you're getting from what I'm saying,
Time
then
start, Naphtali.
thank you so much. Now, what Jabari was saying that like I was trying to impose that that Biblos greatly influenced Kemet, and that's not true. And if that's what you're getting for what I'm saying, then you need to pay attention. Because what I'm saying is that they had now Egypt was the ruling class, but due to their relationship, they gained a relationship together and they began to influence each other. Okay, they were influential to each other, meaning that the Egyptians absorbed some of the Canaanite gods, and we saw that on that stele. Okay, they were bending down, worshiping Canaanite deities. Now, as far as Jabari, what he has to say, people are entitled to their own opinions. That's Jabari is sharing his opinion as well as sources, as well as I am. So Jabari can say what he wants to say, but he's entitled to his opinion. Now, as far as me my mispronunciation of words, excuse me, I'm only human. Okay, forgive me. And also, you're standing in front of hundreds of people. You may misquote something for a second, right? Okay. Now, Byblos is in control of Egypt. No, it is not, and I'm sorry that Jabari felt that way, but he needs to pay a little bit more attention because I never said that Byblos was anything of in control of Kemet, not at all. So now let me get back to my point here. So right here, this source is saying that the function of Temple of Balad Gebel as one of the first meeting places in relation between Egypt and Byblos could be better understood with the knowledge of the socio-political system prevailing in the Lebanese port during the 3rd millennium BC, as well as the ideological relationship of the goddess to the system. Now it says during the early Bronze Age, Byblos may have been ruled by a monarchy similar to the one during the Middle and late Bronze Ages. A cylinder seal found in Byblos and dated in the Old Kingdom seems to indicate the existence of rulers in the city. Although its text poses many problems of interpretation, it mentions with certainty a ruler of the foreign country in Byblos. So what they're saying here is they found a cylinder seal. Now they're having issues deciphering it, but they said for a fact they know the ruler of the foreign country was in Byblos. Now it says here, Balak Gebel's connection with the monarchy of Byblos is documented for the late Middle Kingdom and especially for the New Kingdom. It says in the letters of El Amarna, King Rib Adi of Byblos usually headed his message wishing that the goddess of Byblos should protect the Egyptian Pharaoh. Now, in this letter, and this El Amarna letter that Rib Adi of Byblos, the king of Byblos, he sent to the Egyptians, he headed the message wishing that the goddess of Byblos should protect the Egyptians' pharaohs. Now, if they worship Hathor or her Kemetic counterpart, I'm sure Jabari's going to insert that. When they put that in the El Amarna letter, instead they said the goddess of Byblos. So they're referring to the goddess of Byblos. They said during the 1st millennium BC, the king of Byblos said they were protected by Balat Gebel. They didn't say they were protected by Hathor. And again, her alias. It says, despite the distance in time, it would not be unreasonable to think that the goddess was already considered to be the protector of the royalty of Byblos in early Bronze Age. Now, they said the protector of royalty of the early Bronze Age, she was the protector earlier than that, okay? This is what consensus they came to. But it says here the logogram, which appears in the aforementioned cylinder seal, could refer to the goddess. In many cases, her importance during this period is certain given in the large dimension of her temple and its location in the center of the city. Now it says the cult to the goddess of Byblos must have been an important meeting ground for Egypt and Byblos, although not the only one. There was probably other links besides this one among which must have been the direct context between the rulers, which were well known in the late Bronze Age, relations between the sovereigns of Egypt and Byblos seen. Now, right here, it says here that the goddess of Byblos must have been an important meeting ground for Egypt and Byblos. Why would the goddess of Byblos be of any importance? If the Egyptians, what does the Egyptians have to do with any goddess of Byblos? They should have nothing to do with. Now they should have the goddess of Egypt.
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
The goddesses of Kemet should be important to the people in Byblos, the Canaanites in Byblos, the Phoenicians in Byblos, whatever you want to classify them as. But why would the goddess of Byblos? Remember, it's not like he referred to in different America has their gods, right? The so-called Arabians have their gods. Why would gods in Arabia be important to people in America who worship, who are Christians? That wouldn't make any sense. Why would their god be important? The goddess of Byblos was important to the Egyptians, and this is showcased in the El Amarna letter. Okay, so that is another source to showcase that of her importance. Also, this is showcasing that chapter 2, the god representing the scimitar sword on the cylinder seal from Beth Sheen, Belseth, or Reshef. So it says the unique Egyptian cylinder seal found in 1925 during excavations of the University of Pennsylvania at Beth Sheen portrays a Canaanite god presenting the scimitar sword of victory to King Ramesses II. It says the seal has been frequently discussed in the context of Egyptian Levantine relations during the Ramesside period, when the worship of Canaanite gods in Egypt was commonly practiced, and representations of Canaanite gods frequently appeared on royal and private monuments. So right here, and this is in the house of, I'm so sorry. I do not really know how to pronounce these names, forgive me. But what is important, guys, is that this Beth Sheen portrait showcases the seal that showcases how the worship of Canaanite gods in Egypt was commonly practiced. I hope you guys are getting that from what I'm saying, was that the identity of the Canaanite god depicted on the Beth Sheen cylinder seal has been the subject of debate. While originally identified as the synchronized Baal-Seth, the god is now frequently considered a representing Reshef based on the classification. So irregardless, it's letting you know that on this particular seal, the Beth Sheen cylinder seal showcases worship of Canaanite gods. So that's another source showcasing that the Egyptians were indeed worshiping Canaanite gods. Also, the El Amarna letter showcases how the king of Byblos was writing to them, saying how, may the goddess of Byblos be a protector. If the goddess was indeed an Egyptian goddess, you should understand that they should be saying that the Egyptian goddess. Wouldn't that be more respectful to the Egyptians to not take claim of their goddess as if it was their own? I mean, that's just something that we have to make a clarification of, right? So I just want to land me back on what I was saying about the age of Byblos. So he talked about how these stone obelisks go back to Egypt. Now, over time, let me say this. It says Byblos is among the cities listed as candidates for the distinction of the oldest city in the world. Okay, so it's listed as a candidate for the distinction of one of the oldest cities in the world, and it has been continuously inhabited for over 7,000 years. So it's been continuously inhabited for over 7,000 years. So my thing is that maybe we can make the claim that they were influenced by the Canaanites as far as Naphtali. Because if you look at, depending on your source, it would tell you that it was 8,000 years. And this is right here. Modern archaeological excavation have revealed that Byblos was occupied at least by the Neolithic period, 8,000. So, and I'm not saying BC, I'm just saying 8,000 years right here. Okay, and that during the 4th millennium BC, an extensive settlement developed there. It says because Byblos, okay, so right there is letting you know that Byblos was inhabited 8,000 years, and we know Naphtali goes back 7,000 years. So there is actually 1,000 years right there of time that they had before Naphtali. So making it more older. So shouldn't that, if you guys want to say that Egypt is more influential because they're older, shouldn't we say the same about Byblos?
All right, family. We're going into the rebuttals right now. The rounds of 3 is over, and we're going to give you 8 minutes apiece to rebuttal. That's all y'all need. I want 10 minutes to rebuttal all this stuff, or what? 8 minutes is good. Okay, so we're going to give you 8 minutes. Say what? 8 minutes to rebuttal. Brother Jabari, you got 8 minutes to rebuttal all of this, and then I will have you two ask each other questions, and then we'll open up the lines for the people.
Let's start where she ended. She said that.
Time started, Jabari.
Huh?
Time is starting.
Okay, good. She said that Byblos actually has been inhabited for 8,000 years. 8,000 years. And I think that that makes it a very old city. But I don't think that it does what she thinks it does. I think that what she's doing really here is she's clouding the image in a way in her own head. But I really do believe that most people are able to hear that she's no longer making an argument. She's simply saying, hey, there's some Canaanite, that's what she's saying, stuff in Kemet. That's all she's saying. And I want us to understand that that's problematic. She also said that Naphtali goes back 7,000 years. Queen Naphtali, you would now get an F in my class. You would now get an F in my class because you're not listening to the lecture. Naphtali goes back to 9,000 BCE. Not 9,000, not 7,000 years, not 7,000 BCE, 9,000 BCE. sa.neter, please put the screen up again. This is Naphtali. It is the oldest ancient stone calendar. Oh, goodness. And this keeps happening. It is the oldest ancient stone calendar. And I want you to understand that as we are looking at it,
you ain't showing nothing. You ain't showing nothing, Jabari.
I took it down so that I could actually
let me pause the time.
Yeah, please do that for a quick second.
You had 6 minutes, 14 seconds.
Okay, good. Let me do it again so you can see, because I want you to see that this is not coming from Jabari. This is scholarship. This is coming from what the scholars are saying. You can go ahead and, okay, why is it frozen now? Come on. Okay, you can share this and start again.
All right, time stop.
This is Naphtali. And I want you to see that this is coming from ancient Egypt online. Look at the date they're giving it. As early as 9,000 BCE. So it's not 7,000 years. By the way, simply saying that someone lives someplace in 8,000 BCE doesn't help. I showed you that we have proof of people living in what would be Kemet in 10,000 BCE. She's not responding to arguments anymore. She's not even responding to arguments anymore. So maybe she's on the phone. Maybe that's what's happening. Maybe that's what's happening, and that's the challenge that we're having. She's speaking to Quanah, maybe. By the way, she also keeps mentioning this temple. This is sometimes called the Temple of the Obelisks, but this is a temple that is connected to Belat Gabal. Look at the Kemetic imagery. The signs go back. This is not a situation where we're seeing that the Canaanites are the ones that are greatly influencing Kemet. We're seeing that Kemet is greatly influencing the people that she's trying to describe. And I don't know why she continues to explain it this way. I'm not even sure why we're doing this anymore. By the way, here's the article that she read. This is her article. The role of the Temple of Balat Gabal as intermediary between Egypt and Byblos during the Old Kingdom. Here is what it says on the 3rd page. Please, you have to read the sources well. First, an analysis is made of possible Egyptian influence and of material allegedly beginning to the Old Kingdom associated to the building and cultural practices of the Temple of Balat Gabal. We have grouped them in 3 sections: ground plan and building of temple, decorations, objects destined for the cult. Finally, all these data are interpreted and an evaluation is made of the role of the Egyptian cult to Balat Gabal in the Old Kingdom. You have to understand that now what this article does is it goes through and you can see, as we will observe in the first instance, the existence of Old Kingdom influences, the Old Kingdom of Kemet. It's difficult to ascertain in the study of architectural characteristics and decorative elements of the temple. Go further down. However, the information for cultic objects analyzed in the 3rd section is clearer. Stone vessels and especially flat-top circle tables offer important evidence for the reconstruction of cultic diplomatic activities of the Egyptians in the sanctuary. They were the ones that influenced the building of the temple. This is her argument. This is her source. Her source impeaches her again. Folks, is she even arguing anymore? Is she arguing anymore? First, she stopped arguing that Het-Heru was a Kemetic deity. She relinquished that. Then she tried to say, well, they had some influence in Kemet. What does that mean? Most of the influence goes in the other direction. Kemet was in control of Byblos for a very long period of time. What is she doing now? I'm not even sure if I understand anymore. I also want you to take a look once again. She has not shown us an image of Balat Gabal earlier. She hasn't shown us an image of Het-Heru at all in Byblos. And this is the source that I gave her. And I told you Friday I was being conservative. I'm not being conservative anymore. Does she know about this? This is usually called the Hathor stele or the Gerza palette. And you have to know that it comes from Nakata 2. That means that it is earlier than Namer's palette.
2 minutes.
We are seeing Het-Heru in Kemet earlier. She hasn't even showed it to us once in Byblos. Her argument, she's even relinquished her argument. Let me say something to you. Honestly, what we're doing here is we're now in Silly Town. That's where we are. You have gotten a key to Silly Town. You're in Silly Town now. It don't make any sense. What you have to ask her now is, what's the point? Why is it so important to you? You remember she started by saying that her job was to support the Bible with historical evidence. That's her fait accompli. And by the way, that's always going to have you lose. Why are you trying to support a biblical text, a religious text with history? That book is not supposed to be read historically. It's not a history book. It's a book that has a little history in it. That's it. When you try to do that, you will fail. What is she really trying to do? What she's trying to do is argue that perhaps, take a look at this. Perhaps what we're actually seeing is that the biblical narrative predates Kemet. Take a look at this. Once again, this is always what they do. Here's our conversation with Zion Lex. They're trying to say, well, the Sumerians, the people of Sumer, and the Hebrews are connected. Sumer is older than Kemet, which it's not. Then obviously the biblical narrative is older than Kemet. The followers of the Bible, the Hebrews that we're talking to, they don't rock with the Canaanites. They thought the Canaanites were evil. When we come back, you need to ask Naphtali of her thoughts about the Canaanites. Doesn't she believe that the Hebrews were to take the Canaanites' house? She doesn't worship Canaanite deities, even if she was correct about all of what she said in the last few weeks, which she is not. On the biblical narrative. There's the point. That's why we're having this discussion, which he will clearly continually fail at.
All right, Naphtali, you got 8 minutes in this rebuttal. You got 8 minutes in your rebuttal, Naphtali. Let's get it in. Let's go. Time will start when you start.
Wow. You know, Jabari, I thought that you were better than that.
You want me to start now?
Go ahead, please, because the diminishing, the name calling, the put down, I don't know what Zion Lex had to do with this conversation.
You want me to
had
start the time?
Go ahead, please. Go ahead, start one more time. The diminishing, the name calling. I thought you were better than that. I thought when we talked on the phone that you said you weren't going to be doing that. I thought that's what I thought the conversation was going to be on what we're talking about, not on what Zion Lex and I did a long time ago. I really don't understand that conversation has to do with this. And that's pretty sad and it's embarrassing. And it's really sad. You talk about your credential, you talk about how fair you are, but you want to bring up a conversation and talk about, oh, she thinks that she thinks that, and what does she have to do with the Bible? What the Bible has to do with the Canaanites? And does she worship? What does any of that have to do with this conversation? What does this have to do with the information that's being presented tonight? It has absolutely, judging my background, judging my character, you don't know what I believe. You don't know. I didn't come up here talking about anything like that. I didn't go back and look at your previous videos and talk about what you've done and what you said and what you believe. That has absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about tonight. And you told me on the phone that you weren't going to do that. We were going to have an actual intelligent conversation. And what you're doing, you're resulting yourself to being a joke and a clown. And that's very sad. But hey, what can you expect, right? Okay, so the name calling. Now, what was my argument? My original argument was the fact that the title got switched. But anyway, I said that Hathor was in the Canaanite deity. All right. So what did I showcase tonight? I pulled up, he said she did not show any images of Balat. Well, I showcased scholarly sources that talked about how, and let me share my screen so we can go back and look at that. I don't know why I need an image when I have a scholarly source. The Encyclopedia Britannica is considered to be a scholarly source, okay? And look what it says. It says right here, Balat. Now, is this image a part of this? No. So guess what? Discard it. There, it's gone. It says Balat, also spelled Balat, is often used as a synonym for a special goddess. Now, it says very little is known about her, but because of the close ties between Byblos and Egypt, she was often represented with a typical Egyptian hairstyle, headdress, and costume. And by the 12th dynasty, she was equated with the Egyptian goddess Hathor. What does that mean? Balat was equated with the Egyptian goddess Hathor. Why do I need to showcase her? I showcase a source that tells you that she was equated with the Egyptian goddess Hathor. Same thing. Also, he spoke on the thing about what we know is from the sources. Again, let me make sure I slow down. Let me get my thoughts together. What we know from the information that I provided tonight is showcased, and right here, that the Egyptians absorbed Canaanite deities. Byblos, the goddess of Byblos, was considered to be the main goddess of that for those people. Balat was the main deity for them. So with that understanding, if she is their main deity, then, and we have sources of them worshiping weaker or lesser deities, okay? Because Kedeshet is not the main prominent deity, and we can look right here at their pantheon. If you just give me a second while I get that for you.
Want me to stop the time? 4 minutes.
Appreciate it, sa.neter. Thank you so much for being fair, unlike your counterpart. All right, so let me see here. Gosh, where is it? They all look the same when you're looking at them right here, right? Do I have that on here? Let me just go to them. Let me just look at everything. It's really not important. But anyway, you can start my time, sa.neter. Just go ahead, because it's not even all that important. Oh, I think this is it right here. Yep, I got it. Go ahead.
Time start.
So right here, you see that Balat, the chief deity of Byblos, right there. She's considered to be the chief deity of Byblos, right? And what was my point of that again? It's to showcase to you that, and let me get that for you. Let me go back. Here we go. They're kneeling to Kadeshet. I don't know how to pronounce her name, forgive me. But they're standing and they're praying to this goddess. Why wouldn't they pray to the main and prominent goddess? Also, he talked about my source right here. I think Jabari is missing the point because he's too busy looking for me with Zion Lex. And shout out to Zion Lex. Now, right here, it lets you know that there is a letter, an El Marna letter that was sent to Rib Adi of Byblos, who usually heads his message wishing the goddess of Byblos should protect the Egyptian pharaoh. Okay, so he didn't say the goddess Hathor at all. He's talking about his goddess. And guess what? He's utilizing that to pray for the Egyptian god because they worship their goddess. They absorbed it. Okay, I have two sources, not one, but two sources that showcase that the Egyptians absorbed and were worshiping Canaanite deities. Okay, right there. It says here, this stele, okay, is divided into two sections. In the lower section, the scribe Ramos and his wife are seen kneeling in a gesture of veneration toward the three deities depicted in the upper section. Now, he wants to say she's not on point. She's going up. Who's the person that's going left? Who's the person that's not? He's telling us no one's taking it serious. No, it's you. With the name calling, the diminishing, saying that I'm on a phone as if I can't come up with my own information myself. How disrespectful. Why do I need to be on the phone? I'm sitting here listening to everything you're saying and writing it down. I don't need to talk to nobody. I don't need to speak with nobody. I put my information together on my own. What is it, because I'm a woman? Or let me go ahead and pull this card. Is it because I'm a Black woman that I can't sit here and read my information and thoroughly examine? I need to call Quana? No, I don't need to call Quana. I don't need to talk to my husband. And what are your credentials? And listen to me, I am a data analyst. I'm a BA. I don't know what you're talking about to sit there and put me down like that. Like I said, they told me to have, I wanted Shaka almost. That's who I wanted to talk to. But they said Jabari would be much more fair to speak with. But guess what? This man is actually pretty horrible. Okay, so also he's bringing up sources like this 12,000 or however many years he wants to say about Naphtali. Was that even a scholarly source? Egypt.com? I mean, guys, I can go pull up a source anywhere. What does that mean? You know what I'm saying? Just go anywhere and just pull up a source. 5,000, 10,000, 100,000. Why not? Just put any time on there. Who cares? I thought we were supposed to be setting to some form of guidelines. You talked about Encyclopedia Britannica and you put that down, but you can pull up a source from Egypt.com. Okay. I see that whatever's relevant to you, you can utilize, but when it comes to other people, you know, you have to put their stuff down. And shame on you for that. Again, shame on you. Thank you.
All right. We are now in the question and answer period. Great job, Naphtali. Great job. Naphtali know how to swing blows back now. Y'all got to stop playing. She know how to swing back. Okay, so with this right here, I'm going to give y'all the opportunity to question and answer each other. And You have 2 minutes to answer the question. It's 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes to answer the question. Who would like to go first? Brother Jabari? Naphtali?
I'll allow her to go first if she'd like.
Yes, Naphtali.
If not, then I'll go first. I mean, it doesn't matter.
No, go ahead, Jabari. Thank you.
The time will start when you finish the question.
Well, this is the first thing I need to say is that she said I called her name. I certainly didn't call her name. She called me a clown. I haven't called her any names. None. Did you hear me call her a name?
Is that the question you want to ask me? Because I'm getting ready to tell you what you called me. I'm getting ready to tell you. When you do the name calling, when you say
Naphtali, hold on, it's not too long.
You asking me the question or not? I'm sorry.
It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. It does not.
Let's keep it. Come on, Jabari, you got the floor.
I want you to look at your own source on the role of the temple of Balat Gabal, and I'd like for you to read to us what you understand about how that temple is built and the Kemetic influence in the building of that temple. Did you read that?
It would have been good if you would have put it up, Jabari.
I can put it up.
Yeah, that'd be good in your question.
If you did read that, can you explain how the ground plan of the temple shows Kemetic influence? Kemetic influence rather than it going the other way. You could show it.
All right, so you can read it off here. Can you blow it up?
Give me a second here. Here's a better place here. There. It starts here and it goes to the next page. Did you read that section? Are you familiar? Can you explain that section? This is your source, not mine.
Okay, so you want me to read which section?
I'd like you to read it or at least explain it.
This part right here? This
starts Egyptian presence in the temple of Balat Gabal.
Say it again.
Do you see the section here that says Egyptian presence in the
I read all of that. I don't know if you were paying attention. Maybe you were on the phone. But
explain.
Maybe you were on the phone when I read that. But and let me answer your question.
Naphtali, he's asking you the question. Let him ask you the question.
I know because I'm telling him that I did read that. And that he probably didn't hear me read that because he was probably on the phone talking to sa.neter. So let me go ahead and continue on.
You're always on the phone with Kornal when we speak.
I'm always on the phone with Kornal?
Because I bet I can confirm that. He's always on the phone.
Okay, now I'm always on the phone with him.
Okay, so here's the deal. Here's the deal. I don't take you to be a liar. Okay. I don't. I think that you're an honest person, but you're misrepresenting something here. Here's the question. Have you spoken to Kornal since you and I got on StreamYard today?
Wow, are we really having a third grade argument? Yeah, you're supposed to be this huge historian and all of this, but now we're going to talk about, am I on the phone with Kornal? Okay.
All right, let's get back to the reading over here.
No. This is where he wants to take the conversation. Let's take it there. Let's not talk about the information. Let's talk about me being on the phone.
I asked you several times about the conversation.
Please, let me, and I will get to that, but let me talk about this because the first thing you said was you did not name call me. What you did was insult me. Yeah, sorry, you insulted me by saying that I was on the phone with someone when I was not. It was not needed to even bring that up. And then the thing is, you talk about me being on the phone with Kornal. Kornal called me because he had a question that he wanted to ask sa.neter.
You were on the phone. Is
that my fault? Is that my fault that he called me to want to speak with sa.neter?
I was on the phone.
Excuse me?
All right, time out. Jabari, time out, Naphtali. Let's start this all over. Jabari.
This is your person. This is your person acting like this. It's
Naphtali. I'm saying time out. That means y'all got to be quiet for a minute. We're going to take it from the top again. Jabari, let's get back to the information. Stop. Let me finish, brother. Okay. I need you to ask Naphtali a question pertaining to the information that we're dealing with. It's on you, Jabari.
You didn't answer, but here's the question again. In your source on the second page of the article, it explains that the construction of the temple shows that the Kemetic people influenced the very building of the temple. Can you explain to us how this article describes that?
Go ahead, Naphtali.
This is your article.
I got it. Let me look at a source real quick that I have. Just give me 1 second so I can explain.
This is your source.
I know, and I'm going to showcase another source. Is that okay?
No, Naphtali. He's asking you to explain this.
I will, and I'm going to explain it with another source. I'm going to explain it.
Naphtali, it don't work like that. He's saying this source here.
I know, and I'm going to elaborate a little bit more with more information. Why don't you guys want me to elaborate more with more information?
Elaborate. Yeah, we see you.
People want to show. I want to showcase extra information. That's all.
But see, Naphtali, the thing is, he's not asking you about nothing else. He's asking you about this particular page. That's the question. You only got 2 minutes to answer the question.
If you just give me a second to just look at something, sa.neter.
Okay,
it's okay, guys. Relax.
I will do the same for you, believe me. If Jabari try to go left, I'm gonna stop him in his tracks. When you ask him a question.
All right, so it says data concerning an Egyptian presence in the temple of Canaanite goddess are in some cases debatable, as we will observe in the first instance. The instance of the Old Kingdom influence is difficult to ascertain in the study of the architectural characteristics and decorative elements of the temple, which are studied in the first and second sections. All right. Keep going.
Yes.
Says, however, the information from the cultic objects analyzed in the third section is clearer. So stone vessels and especially flat-top circular tablets offer important evidence for the reconstruction of the cultic diplomatic activities Egyptians in the sanctuary. So it shows right there that there were some reconstructions, and the Egyptians came in and did some reconstructions. If you look at, hold on, let me continue on. This is actually not an uncommon practice. To Hathor's her temple, the Romans actually came in and they actually did some reconstruction on hers as well. I have a source to provide that, a source for that too, right here. And let me share my screen. So do I have time to share my screen or no?
Yes, you got time. You got 1 minute and 15 seconds.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right, so let's showcase my screen here. And let me see. So are you able to see my screen?
Yep.
All right, so it says Dendera, also spelled Dendera, architectural town in the west bank of the Nile, in Upper Egypt. The modern town is built on the ancient site of I don't know how to say that. Anyway, it was the capital of the sixth non-pharaonic Upper Egypt and was dedicated to the sky and fertility goddess Hathor. Her temple is one of the best preserved in Egypt. The present building dates of the Ptolemaic period and was completed by the Roman Emperor Tiberius. So right there, it showcases how the Roman Emperor Tiberius actually completed Hathor's temple. Does that mean that it wasn't Egyptian? Does it mean that it didn't derive from the Egyptians? No, it just means that they respected the goddess and they wanted to make sure that they completed her temple. But it says, but it rests on the foundation of an earlier building dating back at least as far as Khufu. So they're letting you know that it's back. So let me just say, I just want to say that it's not unusual for other like we see the Romans here to come in and, you know, do some form of reconstruction. So there you go.
All right, time. Brother Jabari, you got 1 minute to rebuke that, and then Naphtali, you can ask your question. You got 1 minute, Jabari.
Okay, can you give me just a second?
Yes.
Okay, give me a moment and I'll tell you when to begin.
So Naphtali, while he's doing this, you should be getting your question ready for him.
Wow. Oh boy. I'm getting a picture. That's what I'm trying to do here. So give me 1 moment. Boy, why didn't I download the picture? Okay, I'm about to give up on finding the picture because there are just too many pictures in this folder for me to be able to easily find it. I really wanted to. Give me just a moment more. No, I'm not gonna find the picture that easily. What I wanted to show you was the image of me in the temple.
Go ahead and take your time.
What I wanted to show you is an image of me leading a tour in the temple that
you want me to start the minute?
Yes, please.
You don't want to put back up the page, the article?
Oh yeah, that is what I'm going to put up.
That's what I'm saying. You want to do that now? You got 1 minute.
I want you to know that that article is not talking about. You can put it on the screen, sa.neter. It's not talking about the reconstruction.
The minute starts. Your minute starting.
It's not talking about the reconstruction of a building. It's saying that the flat top circular tables offer important evidence for the reconstruction of the cultic and diplomatic activities. It's the reconstruction of the activities of the Egyptians in the sanctuary. So what they're trying to explain to you is the items there show you exactly how much activity they had in the sanctuary. It has nothing to do with reconstruction in terms of building an actual like space. And so what I'm trying to explain to you is you actually need to read some more of this so you understand the context of what is being said. This is your source, but you don't understand what you're reading. That's the point. And please understand, with the few seconds I have left, I have not called anyone a name at all, and I wouldn't do that. What I am challenging is your understanding of the sources. And if that is offensive, trust me, offending you is not my point, but it is an important thing for us to point out this evening.
All right, Naphtali, you can ask Jabari a question.
Okay, all right. So your point was the fact is that I'm kind of confused. Can you pull that article back up again?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's there, sa.neter.
All right. So, what is your exact issue? So you were saying that, and so it says here that the Temple of Lady of Byblos was the largest and most complex shrine in the Canaanite city during the early Bronze Age. And in this period, the building underwent several transformations. So it says that it went through.
You're mute. Oh.
Sorry, I have a house full of kids. Okay.
It's okay.
So right here it says the Temple of Lady of Byblos was the largest and the most complex shrine in the Canaanite city during the early Bronze Age. Now, it says that here it went through, it says the building went through several transformations during the K3 phase of Byblos with the Egyptian 4th and 5th dynasty. So right there, it lets you know that it has gone through many different transformations. So what is your issue?
What I'm saying to you is this article is about how the Kemetic people dominated the building of the temple. By the way, I wasn't asking you to read that paragraph. I was asking you to answer to read the paragraph above, but you chose to read that paragraph. Look at the end of the paragraph.
Okay, this is my time, so you can just relax for a second.
You asked me what is your issue, so I'm answering.
Okay, please relax. It's really okay.
I'm not offended.
You're a little amp, but go ahead. Let me go ahead. Relax, Jabari.
What's the question you're asking me? You just asked me a question. I'm answering the question, and then you told me that I'm amped.
Okay, well, go ahead and answer the question. Everything's okay.
You said, what's the problem with how I'm reading this? But right under, now I was asking you to read the paragraph above, the small section above. But you chose to read the one ground plan and building of the temple. But if you had read even the entire paragraph, it says, this has led some authors to believe that the temple of Byblos was the work of Egyptian craftsmen of that period. This supposition, however, cannot be proved because there's no conclusive data on the existence of direct relations during the two states during this dynasty.
Yeah, so there is no way they don't have any proof, but guess what? We do what I showcase, and I'm trying to ask you this right now. Do you from the information that we have?
Naphtali.
I'm asking a question.
Naphtali, he have 2 minutes to answer his question, and you keep interrupting. He let you speak for the 2 minutes that you had.
Is it that you want?
I thought that I can ask him.
No. You gotta get Naphtali. You gotta let him answer in his 2 minutes, like you just did. You see, and then you will get a minute to rebuttal what he said, just like you just did.
Make sure he gets that. Start his time over and allow him.
No, we ain't got to start over. He got another minute left. He got 54 seconds left.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
As you go further down, it says Sagie. This is the author of one article. Saw in its 2 entrances, one facing east and the other facing south, an influence of Egyptian architecture, given the similarity to the ground plan of the temple of Sahure funerary complex at Abu Sir. All throughout this article, it is telling you that this temple is greatly influenced by the Kemetic people. In fact, while they can't prove it, they're even saying perhaps it was built by Kemetic people. That's what this article, I didn't introduce the article, you introduced the article. This is why I keep saying I don't think you understand what you're reading. I'm not meaning that to be offensive. If you are offended, I apologize. That is not my attempt. I was not trying to offend you. But I will continue to say you're not understanding what you're reading. You need a good history class.
All right, Naphtali, you got 1 minute to rebut what he was saying. You got 1 minute.
Do you want me to leave this up?
Naphtali, you want to keep that up or no?
Well, yeah, let me go ahead and rebuttal that.
Go ahead.
It says that the most important part of that whole thing is the fact is that they have no evidence to support that that's even true. Now, let me respond to what you said, though. Did the Egyptians have some form of, did they have any influence on that? They sure did, because they were worshiping their goddess there. They went over there and they paid homage by rebuilding and restructuring the temple. No one is arguing, and I don't know why that's an issue. I don't get it why that's an issue, but Senator, stop my time so I can share my screen real quick.
Okay, your time is stopped at 39 seconds.
All right, thank you. Okay, am I sharing my screen? Okay, did it do it?
Yes, your screen is sharing.
Sharing now. Thank you. All right, so he keeps saying that I don't understand what I'm reading. Maybe he doesn't understand what I'm saying. So let me go ahead and share my screen again. Right here, it says that the present building dates to the Ptolemaic period and was completed by the Roman Emperor Tiberius. Tiberius, who was a Roman emperor, came in and he finished Hathor's temple. So there's going to be some Roman influences in Hathor's temple. Does that negate the fact that Hathor is an Egyptian goddess? No, it does not. What it showcases is the fact that the Romans respected and worshiped Hathor, and they wanted to fix on her temple, and they rebuilt it, and they finished it. So guess what? That does not negate the fact that the goddess of Byblos was not their goddess. It just shows that the Egyptians respected her, and they came in and they added or rebuilt what was there. And we see the same. So I think he needs to have another lesson and learn.
Okay. The last questions y'all got, and then we open up the panel. Brother Jabari, do you have another question?
Yes, give me 1 moment here. I'd like to.
You have 2 minutes to answer the question, Naphtali.
Give me 1 second. I'd like to.
Without interruptions.
I'm sorry, my daughter is sick. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with her. Go ahead and do what you got to do.
I'll pause for a minute. Are you there to listen? Because remember, I'm supposed to be asking you a question.
Yeah, get your question ready, Jabari. When she's ready, she'll probably take it. Go ahead.
Well, my question is now ready. I'm
okay. We're gonna wait for a minute till she get ready. I want to say to the people that comes in, I'm only gonna say it one time. When you come in to ask a question based off of based off the information that they dealt with today. So y'all will be asking questions about what y'all dealt with today. I don't want nobody coming in thinking that they're going to be teaching. You're just coming in to ask a question about the discussion we having today. Jabari, Naphtali, are you ready?
I am. I'm sorry, my daughter. Now, I told y'all today is a day, but go ahead. We here.
It's absolutely fine. I have no issue if you had to pause for a second, because sometimes that happens to us all. I want to show you a slide and then ask you your impressions of it. This is the image of, wait, let me show it. You got it, Sa?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. In this image, you are seeing Het-Heru on the left and Balat Gabal on the right. And what I've done on the other side is I've blown up their headdresses. Can you see that when they say that Balat Gabal is wearing an Egyptian headdress, do you see the sun disk and cow horns? And wouldn't this mean that Balat Gabal is influenced by Het-Heru, not the other way around?
All right, you got 2 minutes, Naphtali.
Repeat that one more time. I do apologize.
Okay, I'm saying that on the left we have Het-Heru. On the right, let me use my mouse so you can see what I'm talking about. This is Het-Heru, or Hathor as you've called her, right? As the Greeks called her. And this is Balat Gabal. This is your image, right? The one that you had in your presentation. What I've done here is I've blown up her headdress here and Balat Gabal's headdress here. I'm saying, doesn't the fact that Balat Gabal has the sun disk and cow horns mean that she is the one that is influenced by Het-Heru, not the other way around?
All right, you got 2 minutes, Naphtali. Go ahead.
All right, they look the same. Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen so I can share something real quick. All right. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes.
All right. So I'm gonna blow. Okay. Let me pull this up. All right. There we go. Slideshow. There we go. So hopefully this is bigger. Oh shoot. Okay. There it is. Now they're showcasing this that Kadeshet is a Canaanite goddess, and as you see, what's on top of her head is that same round circle. Can we say that, for argument's sake, that they actually got that from the Canaanites? Because we see her with that same circle, and right here we see that this stele allows us to see how they worship this Canaanite goddess. And we see what's on her head. So we both can make arguments, so we both can look at the different steles and we both can come to our own conclusions. But from my understanding and what I see, I believe that maybe they got it from the Canaanites. Why not? I have another source, so I hope I have time. Let me go to it real quick.
You got 1 minute and 5 seconds. I paused your time.
Thank you, sa.neter. Oh, hold on. Let me see. Where is that source at? Okay. Here we go. So right here it says 3,500 years ago, mutual cultural influences and political fluctuations marked the relationships between the ancient Egyptians and Canaan. So letting you know that there are mutual cultural influences from the Canaanites and the Egyptians, right? So they're letting you know that there's mutual influences. It also says that they have read that the Canaanites absorbed technological and artistic innovations from Egypt, and that the Egyptians in turn adopted some Canaanite deities and technology. So right there, again, it's showcasing that they both were pulling from each other. So we're going to see influences from Balat that has Egyptian influences, then of course we're going to see that. And then we're going to see that they're going to have Canaanite influences as well, because it says right here that they absorbed their gods. One thing that they didn't say is their innovations, their artistic, they didn't say that. They said that they absorbed their deities. That's what they said they got from the Canaanites, was their deities. And we see that from a stele. We see that from this stele right here, that they are worshiping a Canaanite deity. So I don't know what else. Thank you. All right.
All right, Brother Jabari, you got 1 minute in your rebuttal for this. You got 1 minute.
I'm not even sure if she's listening to me anymore. So she didn't answer the question. The stele that she showed is from the New Kingdom. I showed you the Het Heru is all the way at the beginning of the Old Kingdom, before the Old Kingdom. So simply because you see a deity, a Syrian deity wearing a Kemetic headdress, literally 2,000 years later, that doesn't say that the influence goes in the other direction. I think that you're not understanding the time frames, Naphtali. And I want you to show this, sa.neter. By the way, remember the temple in the city whose name you could not mention? This is me about to lead a tour for 65 people in that city in August. Please understand, I've studied this for all of my adult life. What you are arguing is not supported by the data of your own sources. And so I'm not sure what else to say at this point. I'm struggling with trying to figure out how to answer in a way that you understand the time frames, influence, even terms. When it says reconstruction of diplomatic activities, they're not saying reconstruction of buildings, reconstruction of cultic and diplomatic activities. Not buildings.
Naphtali, you got the time to ask your last question to Brother Jabari.
All right. Can I just use this time to rebuttal what he just said?
All right. You want to use your you don't want to ask him a question?
No, I want to use that time to rebuttal what he said.
All right. Go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I completely understand what you're saying. I understand exactly what you're saying. You're very clear in what you're saying. Okay. I have no problem understanding what you're saying. I think you're having a problem with what I'm saying. So let me make sure I clarify things a little bit for you. I'm not looking at the time frame. I'm looking at I don't know why the time frame is of any importance. They're showcasing, hold on, you didn't allow me to finish.
I haven't said anything. I'm listening to you. I am listening to you.
Okay. There are many, Balat is said to have gone back to 5,000 years, right? Her worship. The thing is like this. We're seeing Egyptian influence. Do you have the time and stamp of when the Egyptians so-called built on that temple? Do you have the time for that? No, you do not. We also don't have the information. Do you want to respond to that? Do you want to respond? Do you want to respond since you're being
Are you asking him the question? Because if you do, he gets 2 minutes to answer.
The time frames are in your article that you put forward. You put the article forward.
Hold on. They're saying that they don't know if that is even true.
That is not what that article says.
Okay. Well, Go ahead and prove that. Let me go ahead and look at the article. Let me get time to pull the article up. 1 second. Okay, is this the article right here? I just want to make sure. I don't have it all. I just took a snippet of it.
Are you showing it? You're showing it?
I'm waiting on sa.neter to accept it.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Can you see?
Yes.
Is this it right here?
Let me just make sure you're looking at the same thing, because you know that authors write more than one article, right? So let me make sure that you're looking at the same one that I'm looking at, the one that came from you. It is called The Role of the Temple at Bilat Gebal as Intermediary. What page are you on? 116?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can sync it to yours. Yes, it's the same article. It's the same article.
All right. So right here it's saying that
I was asking you to read from page 104 and 105. That's where we were talking.
Okay, so I don't have that page. Can you share it then?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, it starts here. It ain't always easy to get these articles when you're an independent scholar. I was an independent scholar until the middle of last year. I would have to look at articles and take copies and then reconstruct it. Now that I'm connected to a university, I could pull this down in 30 seconds. It's harder when you're doing it on your own. But here it is. This is the section you started reading in, right? That I wanted you to start reading in. And then it goes into this section. This is the part that talks about the reconstruction of the cultic and diplomatic activities of the Egyptians. And then this one describes the actual structure of the article down here.
Okay, but you're saying that there's time periods. You said I showcased an article with time periods.
Yeah.
Okay, you said I displayed it.
This is your article. You don't see the time periods?
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure this is the page. I'm just trying to make sure that this is where we're going to be reading, right?
Guess where the time periods are.
All right, so let me read it. All right, so it says, the temple of the Lady of Byblos was the largest and most complex shrine in the Canaanite city during the early Bronze Age. In this period, the building underwent several transformations during the cave phase of Byblos, grosso modo contemporary with the Egyptians' 4th and 5th dynasties. The sanctuary, the so-called hypostyle temple, was built over a previous temple. Okay, so it looks like it was built over a previous temple, right? During the fourth and fifth dynasties, correct? Is that that's what we're getting from that?
Right. Yes, when they say 4th and 5th dynasty, they're giving you a date, but you have to know the history to know that they're referring to a date.
Okay, so what was your point of this date again?
No, you just said that the article has no dates in it. I said your article has dates.
This was not my article. This is what you pulled up.
No, Queen. This is your article.
No, I misspoke. What I meant to say is this is what you shared. I thought you were talking about what I shared. Yes, this is my article, but the page that I shared. Relax. I'm just saying the page that I shared didn't have any notes. It's okay. Just go back to what you were saying. Go back to your page. Go back to your page. Okay. Yes, it's funny. I get it. Go back to your page. All right. Now, it's letting us know that in the 4th and 5th dynasty, they built over what the Canaanites had already built. So what they're saying is that before the 4th and 5th dynasty, that there was actually something already built by the Canaanites, and then the Egyptians built over it. So that actually showcases. Hold on.
Where does it say that?
It says right here. It says the so-called hypostyle temple was built over a previous temple.
But does it say that the Canaanites built that temple?
Why would the Egyptians overbuild over the building? Clearly that was there before probably was nowhere near as extensive as to what the Egyptians could have built. It says right there that the Egyptians in the 4th and 5th dynasty overbuilt over their temple that they had established. I can say that because it's letting me know that there was a temple there. It doesn't say that the Egyptians built over a temple that they already built.
Right, but it doesn't say it's a Canaanite temple either. You've put that in there.
It says that it says that it's the most complex shrine in the Canaanite city.
Yes, it is, but it doesn't.
Okay, and it doesn't say that it's an Egyptian temple.
But Queen, you're not reading the article well.
I'm reading it very well. It says right here, the temple of the Lady of Byblos was the largest and most complex shrine in the Canaanite city. It's in the Canaanite city.
Yes, it is.
I've showcased several times how the Byblos, this goddess, was the main Canaanite goddess. She is the main prominent Canaanite goddess. Why wouldn't they build their main goddess a temple? Why wouldn't they? Why do they need to? Their main goddess, out all their pantheon is very extensive. Why would they need someone to influence them on their main goddess? And you're talking about all the way back in the 12th dynasty. That's illogical.
Guess why?
It makes sense. Hold on. The most logical thing here showcases that there was a temple there before that was probably very prehistoric. Probably wasn't as on the levels of the Egyptians. The Egyptians came in the 4th and 5th dynasty and built over it and made it more,
Queen, that is an assertion that you would have to back up.
And you're making an assertion as well. We're both interpreting. Hold on. This is what
hold on, Naphtali. We heard you. You got to let Jabari respond. Every time you speak, you cut him.
I'm simply reading what the article says. You're making an assertion. The article does say that it seems like this temple that you've been referring to all night, by the way, was built by Kemetic workers. They can't prove it, but they said they believe that it could have been. And they say that it's built according to Kemetic dimensions, the entrances, the cultic items. And then they say, yeah, it was built on top of an earlier temple. You are the one that is asserting that it was an earlier Canaanite temple. The article does not say that. So that what you would have to do if you are a scholar, and I believe that you are ascribing to be one, and you're working on it, you have to now back up your assertion. You can't, that's not how it's done. If you did that in my class, your paper would be failed because that you're not reading your source. This is your source. You brought it up. I didn't bring it to the back. I mean, this is like you bring in a weapon to a fight and then you hand it to me. I mean, it's like, you have to read your own source and understand it. And I swear, I am saying this now. If Naphtali says, Jabari, I want to join your class, I will not mention it here on sa.neter. I will mention it nowhere.
How much time does he have? Because I want to make sure.
I'm done if you want to say more.
I want to go ahead and open up the floor right quick for the people.
Let me just say this to him.
All right, say it to him. Say it to him.
Right. That's why I'm not in anyone's class, because I am a person that, hold on, let me say this to you so you can understand my logic and my reasoning. I'm an independent thinker and independent researcher. Let's just get that together. All right.
But here's the deal. I've been an independent researcher as well. Being in a class doesn't mean that you have surrendered your thinking. Being in a class means that someone submits you to intellectual and scholastic rigor. When I told you that I was up, that I had 3 hours of sleep last night, you know what I was doing? Look at what I was doing.
Due to my independent thought, you said that you would fail me because I interpreted the data different from you. I am a data and that.
All right. Thank y'all. All right, we are now opening up the floor, and I will make this announcement again. You will not come in